Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot, and a warm welcome to anyone who is new. So here we are at the beginning of the month already. We're ringing in December, and in a month we're going to be ringing in 2023, which for me is a little bit hard to believe. I was just saying in yesterday's reading, which was the general December reading, that it feels like Thanksgiving was taking a while to kind of get here, and all of a sudden here we are. So as we get into this last month of the year, we're going to take a look at what's coming in your direction during the month of December only. We're going to look at it specifically with reference to the Soulmate series and the messages we get there. So when I started pulling this energy to me, I noticed it was coming out in a lot of directions. So I decided to do a pick a card. So that's something a little new for us with a Soulmate monthly reading. As you know, it's always a general reading for all signs. These are timeless, and they won't resonate with everybody. But if they resonate with you, if any of them really seem like your story, please like and share and subscribe. That allows us to stick together, but it also allows you to find me again if you want to go back and look at some of the messages that have come out in the past, because there have definitely been some patterns that we've seen come out for the soulmate cycle. So it's time to go ahead and pick out your pile. We've got these little pieces that reflect the chakra, so you can choose pile 1 here with the base chakra. It says I am. Pile 2 has the heart chakra, and it says I love. And then pile 3 has the solar plexus chakra, and it says I feel. So go ahead and pick your pile. Don't overthink it. Just breathe. Let yourself drift toward one of the piles. It doesn't have to be just one. You can pick more than one if you want to. So if you chose pile 1, it's going to be up next. For pile 2 or 3, you can get to the linked timestamps down below. So go ahead and pick your pile and let's get started. Okay, so starting with pile 1. Pile 1 had the base chakra, and it says I am, which makes sense because as you're defining yourself, your base chakra is forming early in life. So I'm going to read for you with the Tarot of Dragons, and then I'm going to clarify with the Dark Wood Tarot. I just love how these decks work together. We're going to look at the month of December. The first thing that we want to look at is kind of that main idea. So this is going to be the idea that your reading is wrapped around, the main idea for you in December. And this is specific to soulmates. If you guys are interested in seeing kind of that broader picture, that's yesterday's reading. It isn't a pick a pile. It's just a reading that I did. I didn't even feel the need to do an extended on that one. Okay, so for our basic energy here, the main idea for the reading, we've got the Hermit in reverse. So I cannot immediately tell if all of the answers have been found. So let me clarify what that means. What I mean is when I have the Hermit that comes in the upright, it tells us that you've gone off into a thinking cave, or someone has gone off into that thinking cave to find some answers, to seek out some wisdom, to figure out kind of, some things about what's going on with your current life. When you have it in the reverse, it means a couple of things to me. Sometimes it means that you found those answers and you've come out of the cave and you're feeling pretty good about things, ready to move on to the next step. Other times it means that you've come out, but the answers have not yet quite come to you. And so what I'm unclear on is whether the answers have come out. I can tell that you've been in the thinking cave with regard to this connection, but it's difficult to tell then if what exactly happened there and whether or not all of the wisdom has come for you or not. And so that's an interesting one, because usually I'm going to go ahead and say I can't remember a time where the Hermit has come out upside down or in reverse and I didn't know which way it was. So that'll be interesting. We'll take a look at that when we go to clarify. Let's take a look at the energetic backdrop. So this is kind of the energy that you're swimming around in during the month of November. Oops, I dropped one. And it dropped face down, so we'll go ahead and not select it. All right, we've got the High Priestess that has come out. The High Priestess, this is not as much about secrets as it is about intuition. So there is we have had some times over the past couple of months where, you were really going to be able to commune with your higher self. You were really going to be able to commune with your higher power and just be able to kind of feel that glow when you go into a meditation, for example. It seems crazy high right now. And maybe it's just because we're moving toward that full moon again, but the ability to get those intuitive messages, and to commune with that higher self seems like it's just really prevalent right now, across this group. So let's take a look when we clarify, a little bit more about what that means. That's really good though, because when you're looking for answers, it means that, this is a great place to find some of those. So let's take a look then at what sticks out the most about this time frame. Okay, and we have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles coming up in reverse. So the Seven of Pentacles is about investment. And this is a situation where, maybe there has not been a complete investment. It may be that you have, your person is having a hard time investing in you or retaining their investment. And it's not like an investment of money, it's an investment of time. But what's happening here is them not specifically making that investment. I also get the sense, though, that you are definitely trying to decide what you want to do about this investment. So you're not necessarily interested in standing around waiting, indefinitely to find out if this is going to change, this lack of investment. You may be thinking about walking away from this picture if it does not improve. But I see you also with the intuitive piece, getting some downloads, getting some additional information, that helps you along with this decision. So this is, it's definitely doesn't look anything like a tower, but it almost feels a little bit like one when I think about the fact that it's like you're very aware that this investment is not taking place, at the level that it needs to be. And now you're trying to maybe decide how you want to move forward with that. I don't get the sense that people, within this collective are looking to make rash actions, but it's definitely something that you're definitely evaluating what's going to happen going forward. So let's look at another important energy that's acting upon you at this time and acting upon your union. This is an interesting one because it's not necessarily going to be, what's crossing you. It won't be necessarily something that's negative. We have the Emperor in reverse. So this is that attempt to control. It's not a balanced Emperor. This is that attempt to control a situation, and it's really that attempt to control that situation between the two of you. And it's kind of like what we were seeing in the December monthly reading, where somebody wanted to take control of a situation, but not just the situation itself, but the story around it, the narrative. And so they were looking to, kind of almost take over and rewrite a little bit of what was going on there. So that for you, that could actually be, the same situation. It could be your situation with your soulmate. I know that for some of you, it wasn't going to be. It was going to be, a little bit broader of a look. It was going to be more associated with something that was, in your life, but not specific to the soulmate situation. However, definitely seeing that there is that element of energy here as well. So let's take a look then into those hidden energies and get a feel for, how they're feeling about this situation right now. And you might not, despite the fact you may have had communication with them, there's going to be something about the way they feel about things that they've not really brought to the fore. So this is how they're feeling about you, how they're feeling about the situation, but it's that hidden energy of it. It's the piece that you might not be aware of. Okay, so we have the Three of Swords, and it is coming out in the reverse. So in the last reading, I mentioned that, cards coming out in the reverse is not necessarily a bad thing, and that this is one of the cards in particular that I mentioned that I would like to see come out in the reverse in most contexts. And so one of the things that we see here is that some of the pain that they have felt around you, which not all of it was caused by you. Some of it is residual pain that you're reminding them of, but that pain is starting to fall away. So in some cases, they're addressing it. They're actually growing past the pain. doing some healing. In other cases, they've managed to compartmentalize it well enough that it doesn't hurt so much anymore, but they're getting some overall control. You've got somebody that's looking to figure out how best to control their situation, but they're also looking at, how best to just move forward and feel good about things. And so that's kind of what's happening here. They are getting to a place where they're feeling a little bit better about things, but it may not be evident to you. So as they're looking at you, they're looking at the situation. There may be just a little bit, they might be feeling a little bit better about things than would be evident, I guess. So before we go in to clarify, and I'm super interested in clarifying what's happening in this hidden energy. But before we go in to clarify that, I want to take a look at this energy that you're moving toward. And so this is going to be the energy that the two of you are going to be swimming around in. So we've got this high priestess energy that you're currently kind of in, that's allowing you to maybe commune a little bit better with your higher self. But let's see what's happening here as you go into your next step. So it's not necessarily deep into the future. It's more that next step of just kind of what is that energy that you're heading toward next, that you're going to put your free will into. So we'll just take this top card. And here we have the Two of Pentacles, but it's in reverse. So it means that you're going to be seeking balance. It's not necessarily a bad thing. When we see the Two of Pentacles in reverse, sometimes I think people say, oh no, it's out of balance. There's something that's not going well, not going right. And there may be a little bit of an element of that, but you have the opportunity to do something about it and to make it a little bit better. So I guess it doesn't feel like a dire situation to me, not as dire of a situation as maybe as I first thought when I pulled that out. But it's the Two of Pentacles. It's a little bit of imbalance that you're moving toward. Let's get in and clarify some of this. So again, we're going to clarify with the Dark Wood Tarot. We're going to start here with the Hermit. And so remember, this is that Hermit in reverse that got me. I'm not sure if it was you've come out of the cage with answers or without them. So let's see here. We've got the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is a card of holding on. It's not releasing. And so remember, this is kind of that main idea of the reading. And here's the Hanged Man in reverse. Well, I guess I don't need any more clarification than that. This is a situation where you've gone off into your thinking cave, or it's possible that it's your person. I think both of you have to a certain degree, because I'm getting some of that type of energy off of, both of you. And, when you go in and you see a YouTube reading, and at the beginning, you'll often hear people say, I don't usually say it, but I will often hear people say, it's the energy could be flip-flopped. This makes a lot of sense, because when you're reaching in to get information about a relationship, it's interesting, because you'll get the feel from one person and from the other person, but there's so much in between that sometimes you can tell kind of where it is stronger, but you can't always tell where it originates. And it's just really interesting. So sometimes when you see something or when I see something and I say, hey, I can't tell if this is you or your person, that's why, because that energy is in there between you and the spiritual realm, but is not necessarily clear which direction it goes. And I don't want to misspeak. So I just want to be really clear when I don't know something. Hey, can't tell which direction, whether they have found, the wisdom in this cave. Well, here with the Hanged Man in reverse, I can tell that they haven't. Whether it is you or someone else, I can tell that wisdom has not completely been obtained. I wouldn't say that none of it has been, but there's been a bit of a wall, a little bit of something that they've come up against, something that you have come up against that makes it more difficult. And it's this wall of fear and pain, and I'm afraid to let go of something. Here with the Hanged Man in reverse, so in the upright, when you have it, it's a new perspective, and it's not so much, hey, I went into my thinking cave to get this perspective, but that I did come by it. It is oftentimes the universe that puts you up in a hangman tree, and then when you come down, it's when you've already learned the lesson. So here, it's that lesson not having been learned. It's that new perspective not quite having been gained. So this is kind of it's not really an unstable situation, but it is a situation that is likely to change. So you've got answers that maybe you're still seeking, and definitely this sense of not wanting to let go of something. So that's part of the energy that's just really strong in this month's reading, is this kind of main energy of I'm not quite all the way there yet, haven't found all the wisdom. But if we look into the energy the energetic backdrop, the energy that, as I say, you're swimming around in, it's where you're putting your free will at this time. We've got the high priestess. So you're very open. You've got an open connection to your higher self at this point, which is really kind of an amazing thing, because it feels almost, when you first come in contact with your higher self, feels like it's somebody else, because it feels, but yet incredibly familiar. It's kind of interesting. It's a little bit like having a twin soul, but it's really just, it's part of you. It's part of you that you don't necessarily associate with all the time. So let's go ahead and get a clarifier for this here, because that's part of you that can actually give you a lot of a lot of the answers that you might be seeking here. That this is the part of you that's connected to the overall universe. So we've got the Five of Pentacles here. Okay, so what I'm getting here so far is that, yes, it is that you are going to be doing some soul searching, whether that is something that is intentional or something that just sort of comes to you as a bonus. Because you have this connection here with the high priestess, with that connection with your intuition, with your higher self, there are going to be some things that come to you, and what you're going to discover is maybe what you would consider some of your shortcomings. Basically, it's a situation. The Five of Pentacles is reflecting an energy of something where you have maybe, let's say, a fear of abandonment. That's a strong one that comes off of this card. I also get betrayal a lot of times. But the Five of Pentacles, you have the option to get yourself out of that situation, but you're not taking it for some reason. Sometimes it's just that you haven't looked up to see that you have the option. It's a key that allows you in a door. Maybe you don't realize it's sitting there. There are a lot of reasons why the Five of Pentacles can remain in a situation where you're not necessarily letting yourself out, or not necessarily letting yourself in from the cold. But when you have it in reverse, we see that sort of thing change, where you are letting yourself in. You raise your head, you see the key, but it's still eluding you at this point. So right now you've got that sense of problems that are not yet solved. And the good thing is you're going to start to uncover those a little bit here, but you're also going to be able to take some guidance, whether it be from your higher self, your higher power, or someone who is around you. Someone's going to be able to offer some guidance, and you're going to be able to receive it. So this is going to be a really great thing. It'll be helpful for you throughout the month of December in particular, and you're going to be able to take it to heart and use it a little bit more deeply. I'm just going to bring this back out here because it reminds me so much of the feeling that's kind of happening right now, because this is almost you going back to your roots, which is the base chakra, the root, to the way that things were built when you built your own psyche and started to understand how things work. You know, this guidance is going to really help you as far as unlocking some things that maybe didn't form the way that you would want them to, values that you might want to make adjustments to. Those all live in your base chakra. And so I'm getting the sense here that you're going to have the opportunity and the strength and the clarity to question some of that in this month of December with regard to this soulmate cycle. And when I say with regard to this soulmate cycle, what I mean is the answers that you find that I know haven't necessarily presented themselves just yet, those answers are going to impact this soulmate cycle. So that's kind of a significant thing too. But let's take a look now. We've got what sticks out the most about this time frame, and the answer to that was really the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. It was this question of investment. Have they not invested? Have they not invested sufficiently? And are you maybe not going to stand for it? So let's take a look here and get a clarification. I almost picked up the wrong deck. We'll get some clarification for the Seven of Pentacles in reverse here, because this is like you reap what you sow, but they have not sown what was required, so there won't be anything to reap. we've got the Magician, which is a manifestation card. It's a card of being able to change your reality into something that you would more prefer to be with, that you would more prefer to be a part of, something that you would like more. It's like the alchemy sort of energy, you know, changing what's in front of you into something that's different. So the thing that I'm getting about that, though, is that alchemy feeling is there, but I don't get the sense. It's like, you know, it's there, but they haven't used it properly, or they haven't used it sufficiently. And that's the question that you have about, do I just need to walk away from this? Because if they have the capacity to manifest and have this alchemy on a soul level and they're not using it, is it worth it for you to determine to sit around and continue with this, or is it not? And when I say sit around, it's obvious that you're also learning some other things, and you know, you've got other passions and things that you're searching for, but it's also, this is a piece of your energy that is in a bit of a holding pattern, and so you get to decide if you want to leave it there or if you want to do something a little bit different. So this Wheel of Fortune would tell us that there's not a lot of change that's being blown your way from the universe with regard to this relationship. So this decision may stick around for a while. When I first started reading this card, one of the things that I saw was, I got the sense that you didn't want to necessarily do anything rash. And I think that's probably matches well with the energy from the universe, because it's not pushing anybody to make any rash decisions. However, what I see here is that it is absolutely pushing you guys, because this energy is going to impact them as well. It's pushing both of you guys to really just think about what's happening, connect with your higher self, and maybe make some different decisions based on it. But there's not a push to make active change right now, at least not in this energy. It's almost like when we see the Eight of Wands come out in the reverse, which we did see in yesterday's reading. It was about things, it's sometimes it feels like stagnation, but sometimes it feels like this, where things just kind of aren't moving forward because you're not being pushed, you're being given the opportunity to work through this. So now we're going to look at, this is the Emperor card in reverse that came out for the other important energy that's acting upon us at this time. So we know that there is an effort, an attempt to control the situation, to control the narrative, to control the story. I can feel so much that this is based in fear, and almost, I just want to make sure that I have a grasp on this, because that way, that's one less thing that I have to worry about. That's kind of the vibe that's coming off of this card. It's not necessarily a, let me wrestle this into control because I feel like I'm arrogant and I have to do that. It's not so much that. It's more of a defense mechanism, but I feel like it may be coming from both sides. This one may be a little bit stronger in your person, but I feel like it's sort of both of your responses to an uncertain situation. So let's go ahead and clarify on this one. The Emperor in reverse. There are a lot of interesting things that happen there. Sometimes you get that arrogance. Like I said, I didn't really feel that with this one. Sometimes you get that sort of, I need to control this, and that's just how I handle things. Here we go. Okay, so we've got the Six of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords, both in reverse, that came out with this. So here's another card that I don't mind seeing in reverse. The Seven of Swords, when we see it in the upright, it talks about deception. It talks about lack of trust. It talks about those just sort of difficult things, that something isn't right, somebody isn't being right. When it's in the reverse like this, though, it's the opposite. It's more of that, okay, so we do have some trust. We do have some good things going on here, despite the attempt to sort of control this narrative. And then the Six of Pentacles it's about that even exchange of energy. And so here in this situation, there has not been an even exchange of energy. And so it's something that's kind of coming to the fore. You both know it. It's something that's coming to the fore during the course of this month. When you look at the control, part of the way that your person is exerting control is coming across in this Six of Pentacles. So maybe not returning your texts, or not making sure they control the communication, things that are like that. It's not necessarily going to be deeply deceptive issues. It's going to be more along the lines of them just kind of not doing certain things, or it's a little bit more passive and slightly less active. This Seven of Swords in reverse, though, that trust, that trust is self-trust. And I'm especially excited about that because I think this one is, it's you. Your person certainly has an increased level of self-trust as well over the past, over the time I've been reading for you guys. So I've been out here now for almost, let's see, it was almost 3 months. This is going to be covering almost 3 months when I say that your person's self-trust has definitely increased. Your self-trust, though, has dramatically increased. As I have looked at the self-trust coming across in the collective, when I first came in September, I noticed there was higher levels of fear and not as much self-worth. I see it building, and the self-trust is a place where things have really just kind of increased and changed. So congratulations on that, because that's pretty awesome. And it's an amazing thing to be able to see from over here, because I'm looking at the energy of a big group of people, you know. So let's look at those hidden energies again. And remember, this is how they're feeling about you, how they're feeling about the situation, but not what they're telling you about how they feel. So we've got the Three of Swords in reverse. So they're actually feeling healed and better about some things. Less pain is going through them at this time. So we've got the Six of Cups in reverse. And let's see what else. So the Six of Cups in reverse is that... it's that nostalgia card. So in the upright, it's a nostalgia card, and it's a card of looking back and remembering. And here in the reverse, we see that it's kind of not. They are choosing not to think about certain things that came from the past, because it's giving them additional anxiety. We also, though, have this Empress in reverse. So the Empress in reverse is... It's kind of how they're feeling like they're not prepared to move forward with this right now. So they are feeling like some of the pain is starting to fall away, and they're getting a little bit clearer of a picture maybe of what's going on. But they're feeling undeveloped, like they're not ready to move forward and take care of things. They still have a lot of places where they're trying to turn a blind eye to the past, in some places, because they want to be able to get through the day a little bit more easily. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm seeing there. There's a lot of pain that was kicked up in this for them. So it wasn't necessarily that your ending was flamboyant and explosive. And in some cases, I know they were, but in a lot of cases, I know they weren't. It was just somebody that sort of drifted away from you. But they had a lot going on inside. So they had a lot going on that was sort of painful heartbreak that came from before you. And it has been associated with this relationship with you. And so what I see here is some of that falling away as they're starting to connect the dots and put the pieces together and say, you know what? This isn't really, it's not hurting quite as much as it was before, but I still can't look all the way into it. I still don't feel like I'm developed enough to move back to it. It's just a very difficult and uncomfortable place for them to be. So it's another one of those places they probably can't stay forever. But it's also a gradual change. Wouldn't have been surprised to see like the Knight of Pentacles come out here for the slow and steady change. The only thing is that I'm not sure how steady the change is. I think they're moving in the right direction, but they could also be blown off course if they're not careful. So let's take a look at the energy where you're headed then. This is going to be the Two of Pentacles in reverse. And we saw that there was maybe a question of not as much balance and a seeking balance. So we want this card. We had a bunch of them just kind of fly out there. And I want this one. I can usually look and see which ones kind of stick out the most for me, so I know which ones I need to pick up. But I know that probably looks kind of interesting to those of you who are watching. So the Two of Pentacles in reverse, like I said, it told us there was a lack of balance there and that you'd be striving for some balance, but there's going to be this feeling of like a missed opportunity. It almost has that sense of a missed date or a missed call or missed something, you know, something where there was an opportunity to move forward, or maybe there was, but unfortunately, you won't know because the opportunity wasn't able to be picked up. We do have the Two of Cups, though, and that's the feeling of partnership. There is a strong partnership here. It's the flow of emotion. There's a lot of love in this, okay? And so this is part of kind of what's hiding with your person as well. So part of this situation with this hidden energy is they don't really even want you to know the depths to which they have felt this emotion and the pain that has come up for them in this relationship, especially because some of this pain they've associated it with you, but on a very intellectual level, they're also aware it is not about you. You are not the reason that they have felt this pain. You're just reminding them of it. And the things that are causing them to be reminded of it are not even the same things that have happened in the past. It's just triggering them to think about that. So instead, though, in the future, it looks like you'll still be striving for some balance. There will be some sort of missed opportunity, but there's also going to be this sort of this Two of Cups feeling, this flowing of energy, this partnership. So there's a pretty exciting opportunity there, but maybe it's got a bit of an edge to it. So I think as we go into the extended, I'm absolutely going to do an extended on these. We didn't get enough information about how they're feeling about you, I think. And I also don't feel like we got enough information about kind of this next step that you're moving into. I know we're focused on the month of December, so I kind of want to keep it at that. But I mean, as we look at it, we've got something that's very much in motion. I think this is you more than anything else, with the wisdom that you've not completely got everything figured out just yet. But I mean, it's both of you. But also then you've got this sense of being a little bit closer to your intuition, to your higher self, and being able to at least pick out, even if you're not able to solve everything, you're able to pick out some issues a little bit more. So one of the things that we'll look at in the extended is that bridge question. It's what do you need to do to get from where you are today to where you want to go? And where you might want to go would involve solving some of these problems. So here you're able to identify them, see them, and it's a little bit more of an objective feeling. So don't be too upset about that or worried about that, because when you see it, it won't be that you have a ton of emotion that's invested in there that you get super concerned about it. Instead, it's going to be more a sense of, okay, I see this. It's not taken care of yet. I'm going to put it on my list, but you don't get as worried about it. This definitely has to be fixed, though, or addressed with the investment question. What is going to happen here? Because you're starting to see that they are capable of investing in you the way that you would like to be invested in, but that movement is not occurring. So it's a question of how do you want to move forward? It's not a simple black and white answer, especially as you've been gaining some additional insights here in this current energy. But there's that sense of control, that sense of controlling things that can add to the discomfort of the situation, but don't miss out on the self-trust. When you see that self-trust, just recognize it for what it is and realize this is part of the reason that you're coming forward, because of that self-trust, that self-worth that we've seen increasing. One of the patterns that we've noticed in this collective is that there is less. We have this runner-chaser dynamic, but our chasers aren't really chasing. And that's a significant thing. It's giving these runners, though, a chance to sort things out a little bit and say, okay, I have figured out that although I was triggered to remember this pain, I don't specifically think it is associated with you. So they know on this intellectual level that it's not, but they haven't gotten to a place yet where they can appropriately handle it. There's a place coming, though. There's something good coming here. So there's a lot of love in here between the two of you that is trying to decide if is it going to be given the opportunity, and as things are moving into your next step, I still do see that things are going to be a little bit tough to balance, a little tough to understand. So what's it really going to be when you guys move toward this partnership? What is this edge? So I think we'll look a little bit more closely into that when we go to the extended, just to kind of understand what's happening there. If this has resonated with you, please do hit that subscribe button and like the video. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the extended. The link for that should be down below. If not, then I look forward to seeing you in another video. Okay, so here we are with pile 2. And so pile 2 had the heart chakra. And on it, it says, I love. So I'm going to be reading for you with the Uncommon Tarot, and then I'll clarify with the Revelations Tarot, and we'll just jump right in to see what the main idea is in December between you and your soulmate. Single card, I'll take it. Okay, so there's a 9 of coins. 9 of coins is a prosperous card, but it's also a card of having arrived. So there's something really good about this. We kind of saw this coming with the new moon and the new energy that was sort of shifting. That was really not too long ago. So as we're seeing that, I guess maybe this is what's coming out of it. This is that sense of it's an emotional stability, but more than that, it's like an emotional independence. So we'll see a little bit more about that when we go to clarify. But an emotional independence is the main idea for the energy between the two of you during the month of December. So that can be a really positive thing. It could be part of what's I get the sense, just based on some of the readings that we've had lately, we've seen this card or the equivalent of this card in many decks in reverse, talking about how there's a need to find this emotional independence. And so it feels here a little bit like that might be happening. So we'll learn a little bit more. Let's get the energetic backdrop for the month. So this is kind of that overarching energy. Here we have, wow, the 8 of coins. I'm glad you guys are seeing these cards come out because they're really nice and would be hard to believe. So the 8 of coins is about that emotional self-mastery, and we've been seeing that in many of the readings here recently. Emotional self-mastery and just the feeling that you are capable, knowing that you're able to do the things that you set out to do and that you're going to be successful at those. There's a confidence that comes with this feeling of mastery and having mastered oneself and one's emotions. And that leads to the 9 of coins here, which is that emotional independence. So these will be interesting to clarify, because with an energetic backdrop of emotional self-mastery, between you, this is a fantastic thing. And so I can't tell just yet how much of this is your emotional self-mastery and how much of it is your person's, but we'll see about that as we kind of get a little bit farther into the reading and see what else comes out. But right now I can feel that in the energy between the two of you. So, all right, let's see what sticks out the most about this time frame. So the time frame is the month of December. We know that we'll do a refresh in the second half of December if the energy seems like it's really continuing to change. But for now, what does the month of December look like as far as between the two of you? What sticks out the most? Okay, and we have the Tower, so something starts to move. This Tower does not give me the willies. It actually seems like this is something that it's due, it's time, it's a good thing that this Tower is happening. This feels like the timing is about right. So towers are about upheaval and about change. A lot of times they're a little bit difficult to navigate and deal with just because there's transformation involved. But with this level of self-mastery and emotional independence, I feel like this tower is going to be more easily navigated by you. Like, they're never easy, but I think you're going to do a fine job, and you're going to come through with those lessons that you've been looking for. Those ones the lessons that seem like they're just around the corner for you. It seems like they may actually be just around the corner for you and starting here in December. So that's pretty exciting. That's really a positive tower. I would say, I don't know if there are good towers and bad towers, or so much as it depends on how you take it. And with this, with these cards coming out here, it feels like it could go pretty well for you. So let's see what another important energy is that's acting upon you too at this time. So I don't want to say what's crossing you because I don't want the negative implication of that, but let's just kind of see what is something that is very important that is happening right now. So we've got the 5 of coins, but we've got it in reverse. So the 5 of coins is a card of It's a card of being out in the cold, but a lot of times what you'll notice if you look closely at the card is that there's an option. The person has an option to let themselves in from the cold. Maybe they're not able to take it. Maybe they're not able to see the key that's sitting there next to the door, or it's a church, the door is open. I mean, there are a lot of options on these cards a lot of times when you have the Five of Coins. So in the reverse, though, what it feels like, and what it feels like coming off of this card, especially right now, is having let yourself in out of the cold. So there's been some sort of, I don't know if it's been a bridge cross, or maybe you just set a foot on the bridge. You know, it seems like this is the sort of process that maybe takes a little while, but there's some definite progress here. And with these other cards that have come out, it feels like there's progress between you two during the month of December, but it's valid progress. It's got that sense of, you know, something really just letting yourself in from the cold and feeling a better emotional response to something that maybe in the past, like something has clicked. That's what I want to say. So let's look into the space I typically reserve for hidden energies. Let's go ahead and keep it for hidden energies, but we're going to look at how they're feeling about you. And how they're feeling about the situation, and you know, maybe what you're not able to see about how they're feeling about things. So let's see. We got the Hermit card in reverse. There are some questions here that they would like to have answered, and they've gone off to try and find some of these answers. And regarding your relationship, but they haven't been very successful in doing so. And so that, like, they thought they would be. They thought they would be more successful than they are. So that's a little bit of a confusing feeling for them. They're like, they came back out of their cave and were like, should I go back in? Like, they're not quite sure how to handle the situation as far as not having found their answers. But there is, this energy is them too. So there is something about this that still is going to be okay. There's a relatively steady energy about your person. They just have some more things here that they know they need to unlock, particularly with regard to you, because it seems like they are usually pretty good at this. You know, they're usually feeling pretty good about their ability um to interpret situations like what they're seeing in front of them, but because it's you, it's a very different situation. It doesn't feel the same way. That's part of what's coming off of this card. So, like I said, we'll clarify. We'll get here and clarify all of these, but first let's take a look at the energy that you're moving towards. So this is going to be that energy that you'll be swimming around in later, next time. So as things shift, we know that there are things that are shifting here. Currently, you're in this very self-assured energy of self-mastery, and like you are very familiar. It's like you studied for a test and you're very familiar with the material. You're very comfortable in your own skin right now. And this is the energy between the two of you. So it's a great energy to be in. Let's see what you're heading toward, especially with all of this transformation that looks like it's coming your way. And, you know, like I said, whether it's a good tower or a bad tower, it's probably more depending on where you're standing. But it's going to make a change for you. Okay, so we have the Wanderer in reverse, which is like the Fool in reverse. So the Fool in the tarot is where the Fool's journey begins, at the beginning with 0. They are jumping into something new, going into a new place. But here, that's not necessarily the energy. It's not the energy of jumping off into something new. Instead, it's the energy of, maybe holding back a little bit and thinking, I need to reevaluate. So after this tumultuous emotional piece of the experience, there's a need to go back and reevaluate. I don't think that sounds too strange, but let's learn a little bit more about it and see what other questions come up. So this is just kind of that first layer, that first level of energy, and so we'll get in a little bit deeper here as we go into clarify. We're going to start here with the 9 of Coins. So the 9 of Coins is in that position of, wow, is in that position of the main idea. And the first thing that comes out is the 10 of coins, the 10 of pentacles. So we have the 8, the 9, and the 10 of pentacles all on the table for the month of December. And then we have the 5 of swords in reverse. So the cards that, this is a really positive outlook for you guys. So let's see here. We've got that 9 of coins, which is telling us that emotional stability, that's not always what I get off of this card, emotional stability, but I do typically feel an emotional independence. And there's a sureness, there's a good emotional independence that's coming from this card. But this 10 of Pentacles is like that's the the happy household, the happy family. They have everything they need. Everybody's needs are met. The relationships between all the people in the household are healthy and happy. It's kind of like what everyone sort of wants, right? And so that's the energy that's surrounding you in December, the main idea that this reading is wrapped around. And this 5 of Swords is about picking the right battles. It's about, in the upright, it can be very much an inefficient sort of energy. And what I mean by that is picking too many battles and sometimes working too hard to win in a place where it's really not worth it. Here, though, this is more of a feeling of discernment, and this is somebody not jumping into battles for what ends up being really no reason. This is a much more stable energy than what we've seen in the past. So for a few of you, those of you who are moving into this energy, it looks like there's really going to be sort of a shift, but it comes in with a very positive, stable sort of feeling. You remember who you are. But then this shift occurs, and it's not so much that you forget who you are, but you are presented with the situation where your person has a lot of questions they haven't quite answered. This, though, is your shared energy. That it's another important energy acting on this time, upon both of you at this time, but it's a shared energy between you of having let your respective selves out of a situation, out of the cold. And it's a thing where you guys needed to be able to do that on your own. So it's happening, or you're taking a step in that direction. Both of you are. They still feel like they have a lot of questions. You take a look at this after the change that occurs within you guys, whether it happens in the physical, happens in the spiritual, whether it's just something that clicks. You know, sometimes I'll be giving you guys a reading and things will click for me. You know, and I'll realize, oh, hey, I'm in a different place. And that could happen for you as you are, you know, as you're getting there and evaluating it. You may have to realize, well, how do I move on from here? Let me not just jump off of into something, the wild unknown, without at least thinking about, hold on, how have things changed? You know, I feel like that's kind of the energy that's coming from this union right now. It's not a bad thing. It's just sort of going to cause it's going to cause a little bit of change that you guys will have to adjust to. So let's look at this 8 of coins, another really promising energy. And this was that energy, that the energetic backdrop for the month. And so first we've got the 6 of Pentacles that has come out here. And so let's just get one more card, because that 6 of Pentacles is about that give and take. This is that opportunity to finally get things right. And with that emotional self-mastery that's in place, there's actually, I just love it when I'm sitting there saying something and I'm thinking it and the cards come out to just illustrate it. Okay, so you've got this emotional self-mastery that you have. It's a hard one. Self-mastery. Both of you have been making your progress and getting to this place. So then you have this 6 of Pentacles that has come out, and this is that chance to, a lot of times we've seen it like this. We've seen it in the reverse in personal readings. We've seen it in the reverse on here. There has not been emotional or energetic equality, you know, equal give and take in the past. And so this is that opportunity to do that. And with this new hard-won emotional self-mastery, there's actually a solid chance that the two of you could do this, especially because you've got this judgment card that's coming in the upright, and this speaks to your awareness of the situation. And so really what I mean by that is there comes a point here where both of you are paying attention at the same time. So you may have noticed an interesting phenomenon where it seems like there's this back and forth dynamic where they're paying attention and kind of more pursuing you, and then it switches and goes back and forth. And that's something that is not an uncommon change. But here is a situation where both of you will be able to think about the big picture of this relationship at the same time. And with your new hard won emotional self-mastery, that could mean very different things for this Six of Pentacles. So that's telling me there's a lot of potential for the change that's happening in December, or at least the energy where you find yourself, because let's actually see what the change is, because this is the thing that sticks out the most. You're in this awesome energetic backdrop here, and you're going to shift to something a little bit less certain. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but let's see what's driving you there, because this is going to be the thing that this sort of makes that change. Okay, let's see. What is it? And we're looking to clarify the Tower. So, we're clarifying the Tower with the Fool. Okay, let's try one more time. We've got the Page of Swords in reverse. So, okay, let's take a look at this. The Tower card is telling us about the tumultuous experience, that it's an emotional change that happens. We don't know that it's a bad change, but it does promote a little bit of a shift. You're going to have to adjust to it. That's what we see down here. But this is about the new energy that is kind of growing in you. There's a new energy growing between the two of you. And I'm just wondering if maybe crossing this sense of judgment, it feels to me like almost, okay, so bear with me for a second. The World card hasn't come out, but I feel like it has come out in reverse right here in between the Judgment card and the Fool card. All right, and what I mean by that is the overall path goes from 0 to 21. Okay, so that's the major arcana of the tarot. It starts with the Fool, and it's the Fool's journey that goes through to the World, which is card number 21. This is the Judgment card, which is card 20. You have to pass judgment in order to get to the World. I feel like you pass judgment because of your conscientious ability to be conscientious as you're evaluating this situation. And the two of you, when the World comes out in the reverse here in between, it's the two of you realizing things aren't necessarily over. Let's go ahead and have that conversation. Maybe this Fool isn't jumping all the way into, and it's not necessarily a fool, okay, but this, you know, it's the card, the Fool. So maybe this person is not necessarily jumping all the way into a full-fledged relationship, but the two of you may be saying, let's go have that conversation that maybe adjusts and steers the way for us a little bit. And that's something that may be a little bit tumultuous. It may be something that you have to then I don't want to say necessarily recover from, but certainly evaluate afterward. What gets me, though, is this Page of Swords, because I get this sense here that the pages bring communication. When I see it in the reverse like this, and swords are air energy, they are about communication. And so what I see here is you guys kind of jump in to have this conversation, but it's maybe not as fruitful of a conversation as you would hope for it to be. They lock up a little bit. There's something here. You might even back off a little bit once you start to see them lock up. But there's something here that you have decided to do something that feels a little bit like a leap of faith together, whether it's having a conversation or just on a spiritual level, getting a little bit closer together, but something doesn't exactly go well. And it's not explosively doesn't go well, but just kind of doesn't feel right. There's something that's catching. But let's get into clarifying this one, because This Five of Coins says that you guys have made sufficient progress enough to be able to potentially see through this, because this feels like anxiety energy to me, playing out in the form of a poor conversation because this person thought they could do it and couldn't, or something like that. It doesn't come out as well as what they might have hoped for. So let's take a look at this Five of Coins here. All right, Five of Coins in reverse. And this is you guys each pulling your own selves in from out in the cold. So if you're in separation, this is something that you specifically had to do while you were in separation. And I'm not laughing at what's coming out. I'm just laughing at, like, it's so perfect. So we've got the Three of Pentacles that's come out. And so this is, remember this, this Five of Coins in the reverse was something else that was an important energy acting upon you at this time. Okay. So the Three of Pentacles is, it's part of that. It's part of what's acting upon you. You guys are flying together, and that is a very spiritual sort of feeling. I don't know how that plays out in the physical realm. It may be a little bit uncomfortable. And we've got another page here that's come out in the reverse. So communication remains difficult. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But this one is more of an emotional communication. Could even be an apology that sort of fails. So a Page of Cups sometimes does bring an apology. Not always. Sometimes it's just an emotional communication of a different kind. This one feels pretty apologetic, though, but it feels like it sort of flops. It doesn't necessarily have the desired intent. Again, though, with the emotional intelligence and the fact that you guys work well together, I could see how that might still not be the end of things. I guess we'll take a closer look at this. I'm really curious to understand what happens when you get into this energy and maybe beyond that. Maybe we'll look into that for the extended. But before we do, let's get into this a little bit more. So this was the hidden energies, things that they're feeling about you that you might not be able to kind of see or sense. And it's not what they would tell you. This is something that they would be keeping very much to themselves. Might be a little bit uncomfortable, and it certainly could be. I could see it being uncomfortable to come out and say, listen, I'm usually pretty good at this, but I'm stumped. And I can't figure out how I'm supposed to behave right now. And I thought I was a viable adult. This is ridiculous. Oh, man, there's so much love here. They have, okay, so let's see here. We want this Queen of Swords. We want the Chariot. And we want the Two of Pentacles. Okay. That's interesting. Sometimes I just want the one card. And sometimes they come out and it's very, it's a free-for-all. All right, so we have... the Hermit, which was them recognizing they don't have all of their answers. The Ace of Cups is showing us just how much love is in the picture. This is the free flow of emotion, but I will say it has that sense of they had it dammed up for a while. They may have even been in a different relationship, and maybe you're not their first significant relationship. However, this level of emotional flow was not something that they were accustomed to under any circumstances. Their first response here is to sort of defend themselves and to say, nope, I'm being discerning and I'm cutting this out. Something about this doesn't feel safe. And so that's kind of what had sent them off into their thinking cave. Then they kind of figured out there's not really anything wrong with the balance and the way that the two of you, I guess, come together, the way the two of you work together. But that's not enough for them to want to be able to move forward. There's still fear. There's still life situations that are created or that are creating obstacles for the two of you to come together. So they don't feel like they could simply move in your direction. And it's a little bit complicated. There's something that's definitely holding them back from moving in your direction. And part of it is it's no longer so much their own discernment. They are still feeling quite discerning. Let me be clear about that. But they're also feeling a lot more balanced about things right now and feeling like, all right, I can see this a little bit more for what it is. But honestly, there are still a lot of questions that they haven't quite gotten answered. that might be something we want to look a little bit more into in the extended. Just how what is let's break this out a little bit more and see. I get that they're feeling more balanced, and that's great because that allows them to see this love for what it is, and maybe even walk away from some of this discernment that was a little hasty. But it wasn't necessarily hasty; it was panicked. And now they're just kind of like, I can't figure out how I'm going to move toward this right now. And I'm maybe comfortable not moving toward this right now while I try and figure out what is actually happening. And with this stability, this is like emotional stability and emotional self mastery that they have been in recently. That's been like a comfortable place, but that is not necessarily where you're going, because there is something here that happens, like we see with this tower. There's something here that happens that is relatively tumultuous and makes you just makes you need to really reevaluate. And so there's not necessarily, I'm not jumping off. That's not what I'm getting out of this. It's the I'm really not just going to jump off into arbitrary things. Okay, so the Three of Swords in reverse. That, I've never felt discernment come off of that card before, but here we are. And the Three of Cups. Okay, so here's what I'm feeling with this. This is a better place from which to make decisions. Okay, so there's a recognition of the enjoyment and happiness. There's an ability to feel that happiness. So for a little while, there's been some blindness or numbness to that, I guess I would say. An inability to feel this happiness that you guys had when you were together. How fantastic you guys work together. There's a lot of really positive things that are that happen between you here. There is also the sense of just the pain lifting. And if you look at these, you know, all of these cards are relatively similar in color, but they're giving me that sort of end of the day vibe. And so that's also in this energy as well. It's a little bit of this sort of distant sadness. You might not know where it's coming from, might have to meditate to get at that, to understand what might be holding you back in the form of some distant fear. And I would say that I'm going to bring this back into it. So we had the heart chakra that was sitting on top of this deck. I didn't specifically put it on here for a reason, but what I'm feeling here is that maybe this is relevant, especially to this part of the reading and the energy where you're heading. So maybe focusing on your ability to give and receive love, maybe focusing on if you get into that sort of thing, working with cleansing and making sure that there's not any blockage of energy as it moves through your heart chakra. So, I mean, there are a lot of different meditations and ways that you can do that, but that's something that you may want to focus on. So, this is really something. It's a lot of really great energy. I'm going to go ahead and head into the extended now. So, if this one resonated with you, please like and subscribe. And just that way we can stay together. And there are probably some readings in the past that you may also want to take a look at, because a lot of this energy feels like a continuation of some of the other ones that we've seen. But seeing this 8, this 9, this 10 of Pentacles, all in this reading here in this context with the main idea and the energetic backdrop for the month, this is beautiful. I mean, there is potential here for you to right wrongs, because that's really what this is. Establishing that energetic give and take and balance there is righting a wrong from the past between you, and to be able to pass judgment and to say this isn't over. We could potentially start again, even though maybe it's a challenge to figure out how to move together. There is a sense here that you are very good at doing so. Once you get underway. So, and once you kind of get out of your own way, because I feel like that's what's happening in this energy. This is anxiety. This is an inability for them to communicate. It's mostly on their side. But it's has so much to do with kind of, they've had a lot of fast action here. We're going to take another look at how they feel about you as we go into the extended. but just seeing the complexity here and how much they love you and how they feel like, they when they made this rash decision earlier, because that's really what this is, to say, we're not going to do this. I got to go figure this out. They feel like they may have made a huge mistake and they don't know how to come back and fix it. And that's part of what's creating the fear and keeping them from being able to move forward. So this energy that you're moving into now does have its level of challenges. I want to take a look at this as well. Just kind of that overall feeling, especially, if that heart energy is a little bit blocked, this can be a challenge. So let's take a little bit closer of a look at what's kind of coming your way and the energy that you're coming toward. And then we'll take a look at your bridge question. So that's what we'll do in the extended. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the extended. The link is down below. It brings you to my Vimeo page and you can go from there. Otherwise, I will see you in another reading. Okay, and so here we are with pile 3. And so pile 3 was the one that had the solar plexus chakra. And on it, it says, I feel. I'm going to be reading for you with the classic tarot, and then I'll clarify with the Wildwood tarot here in a moment. So we'll get started by looking at the main idea of what's coming, the energy that's coming toward you and your soulmate during the month of December. So this is just kind of that main idea. The whole reading is going to be wrapped around this. And let's see, that's multiple cards. The main idea for the month of December as you head into December. And we're just going to take this card. We've got the 9 of Pentacles that has come out. So this is super interesting. So the 9 of Pentacles is the same card that came out in this position for one of the other piles. So that is super interesting. And it's still got that same feeling of emotional stability and emotional, really independence. So again, we'll see if it's continues to be similar when we jump in to clarify. But for now, we will go ahead and take a look at that energetic backdrop for the month of December. So that energetic backdrop is just kind of what everybody is swimming around in. And so those of you who have been watching me for a while know that when a bunch of cards spill out, I usually just pick the one that's the right one, and that's where we go. So, and sometimes I feel like I need to take more than one, but in this case, it's the world in reverse. And so the energetic backdrop has a lot to do with the understanding and the awareness that this situation is not yet over. That's a big piece of what's happening here, I guess. Just kind of that realization as you move through the month of December, you may not have had contact with your person for a while. I know a lot of you are in separation. You're not chasing them. You're not having conversations, but just this sort of realization that there is more to this story. There's more to be had. Let's take a look at then what sticks out the most for the two of you across this time frame. So this is going to be, let's see, what was that? That was the Devil. Okay, so let me explain this card. A lot of you are familiar with the tarot, but for those of you who are not completely familiar, the Devil is not specifically a devil. It's more about a sense of control. So there's this feeling that something is, there is a control over you or your person or the relationship. And that is the thing that is sticking out the most about this time frame. But it could be anything, you know. For some of you, it is actually substance abuse. But for the vast majority of you, I would say there is obsessive thinking here that is holding sway over December. And in some cases, it is obsessive thinking that you were not experiencing previously. So you've been working through things. September, October, November. I have been out here on YouTube watching this group, this collective work through things. And I've seen the ebb and flow of the emotions that kind of happens. One of the things that I'm seeing here is kind of that flow of emotion, but also with maybe a little bit of the obsessive thinking that comes back. So if that's something that you had experienced in the past, it may also be something that you might want to brace yourself for, or your person might want to brace themselves for. Too bad they're probably not the one watching this. And I know we do have some folks on here who we would call, you'd call them cross watchers, because this is kind of toward a specific direction. And if you're the person on the other end that would, sometimes they say the energy is flip-flopped because you're grabbing the energy between two people. But a lot of the people that are watching this channel are the divine feminine of the divine feminine, divine masculine relationship. There is a runner chaser dynamic that has evolved between the two of you, and a lot of you hold the position of the divine feminine and the runner. However, one of the things that we've noted on this channel is that a lot of these chasers, I'm sorry, it's the chaser. And one of the things that we've noted on this channel is that the chaser is not doing so much chasing in this situation. That has a lot to do with self-worth, but also with this emotional stability and emotional independence that we see here. But maybe just the realization, the very deep realization that this is not yet over, could create a little overthinking, maybe even on your part. But I would be kind of thinking that that's just something that may stick out here a lot for the month of December, but we'll look into it again here in a moment. So now I want to see what another important energy would be that is acting upon the collective during this time. So what is another important energy acting upon you? Not necessarily a bad thing, could be a very good thing, but it's important. Oh, and we see, that is coming out of overthinking. So here we go. I'm not going to keep it here, but I just want to say this controlling feeling that comes from the overthinking, one of the most significant pieces that feels like it's going to happen here is the turnaround of that. I now feel more strongly than I did before that overthinking is kind of the drug of choice for the addict here. And that this coming out of overthinking with this Eight of Swords in the reverse is just, well, I think it's a beautiful thing. Right now, we're looking at the surface energy of what's happening across the month of December, knowing that if we have a lot of change like we have for the last couple of months, I will probably come in around mid-month and say, let's get an energy update. If I start to look at the energy update and it's really all just the same stuff, then there's no reason to post that. But the last couple months, that has not been the case. There's been so much shifting and just so much going on. We've had to update it at the halfway point, and it has been good that we've done so. So we'll see how it's going. But right now, it looks like you come into the month with this realization that things aren't over. It creates some overthinking and kind of that same old controlling your mind. Or the overthinking is sort of coming into your mind in an obtrusive way. So obtrusive overthinking, but you get it. You get to the top of this. And it sounds like this is kind of mutual energy too. So it feels like your person could be getting past some of that overthinking as well, but they might also be prone to it because of that sudden realization that things aren't over. So I don't know if it's that you guys see each other or your energy comes closer together in the spiritual realm, but there is something that's going to trigger both of you to think about this a lot. Maybe it's just at that time of year, but it's going to create some overthinking, but you're going to come out of it. So here in the hidden energies category, I'd like to see how they're feeling about you, but that you're not aware of. What are the things that maybe you're not aware of about how they're feeling about you right now? You and the relationship, but just kind of overall how they're feeling about things in a way that you wouldn't know about it. So we've got the Hermit in the upright. This is interesting. We had the Hermit that came out in the and that other pile that had the Nine of Pentacles up here in this position also had the Hermit here, but that Hermit was in reverse. And so what I'm seeing here is that your person has gone into their thinking cave, okay? They've gone into their thinking cave to gather some wisdom, because that's what happens with the Hermit card. You go and you realize that you need to go do some thinking and find some wisdom. So this person has done this, and they've come back a little bit different. I cannot wait to get in and clarify this and just kind of find out what it means. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the energy that you are moving towards. So this is going to be overall sort of the energy that you'll be in. You're in the world in reverse energy right now. So that's that realization, or as you're coming into December, you know, the early part of December, it's kind of that I am realizing that this is not over yet. So what is that energy that you're then going to shift into, particularly as you move through the month and you have this experience that makes you start to do maybe some overthinking, but you also come out of it. Now, your person's done some growing and some learning and discovery, it looks like. But let's see what else as far as the energy that you're approaching. And it looks like we've got a couple of cards that want to come out on that. All right. And so we're going to take the King of Cups in reverse and the Three of Cups in reverse. So this is the energy that you're heading toward. All right. So it is directly related to this devil energy too. The King of Cups is in the upright. He is someone who, and of course it could be in real life, it can be, doesn't have to be a man, you know, but on the card it's a king. So I'm referring to him as a he, but the King of Cups is very emotionally stable, and that's exactly how he likes it. He doesn't want to give too much. He doesn't want to be perceived as unstable. And so for him to be in the reverse, it's either that overwhelming feeling of more emotion than maybe he's comfortable with, or it's a sense of this being a factor where it feels like there is too much emotion, and now that's something that one or both of you is going to have to react to. And then we've got this. So this is the Three of Cups. And the Three of Cups in the upright is, it's rejoicing, it's happiness, it's energy and emotion that is flowing, it's celebration. In the reverse, though, it's not as much of a good time. So you could still have people coming together. Say if you're having like a holiday party or something like that, you could still have people that are coming together, but they might not be, it might not be as enjoyable. So it might be that the two of you have a communication. You realize that things aren't over. They've come back out of their thinking cave. But this energy that you're moving into is a little bit disappointing. Like overall, it's a little bit disappointing, but I want to get to the bottom of it and understand, because I suspect there's more to it with this King of Cups in the reverse. This Three of Cups in the reverse feels a little bit disappointing because it's not as happy as you would hope for it to be. Doesn't necessarily mean it isn't still pretty good. But this King of Cups is, that's where I'm probably more interested in understanding, like, is this what is happening with this King of Cups? We're going to go ahead and, set this deck aside and then clarify with the Wildwood Tarot. So we'll go ahead and start up here with this Nine of Pentacles. And that was the main idea of your reading. And so kind of, let's see here. What would complement and help to clarify this Nine of Pentacles, which is kind of representing for us emotional independence? Let's take a look at that. So emotional independence, and it's not really brand new, but it is a feeling that is pretty fantastic. We've got the Mirror. So that's the same. Oh, that's like the Hanged Man. And then we've got the Five of Bows. Okay, so the Five of Bows is about, bows are fire energy. And so this one is about struggle. It's about intensity. It's about the Five of Bows is kind of coming at you. It's got that really intense sort of feeling. When you are feeling emotionally independent, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you're going to have to engage something, and say the way that you would engage it is going to feel kind of different. But this is the equivalent of the Hangman. So you're coming into this with a different perspective than what you might have had in the past, and it has. Now it's going to be manifesting a little bit differently because of this emotional independence that you have come into here. It's not completely new for you, but it is definitely something that it's definitely something that this relationship has not benefited from as much in the past. But we see here in this energetic backdrop that overall this relationship is not over yet. So not from an emotional standpoint. So we've got the Knight of Bows. That's like the Knight of Wands. That's a passionate forward movement. And a passionate forward movement kind of happening in that energetic backdrop. So there's the energy of motion and almost being ready to kind of jump into something. This has got that minor arcana fool sort of feeling to it. And these cards are super slippery today. Every deck is a little bit different and different days. They're just different. So the Three of Bows has come out here with the World, along with the Knight of Bows. You've got a situation. This is not necessarily, I don't want to use the word tense, but I will say it's intense. So you've got a situation that's not ended. It's not over yet. Both of you are seeing it and or feeling it. You have intense, forward, fast, passionate movement. Could be toward one another, but that feels a little quick based on the rest of what I'm hearing here. I get the sense, though, there's not preparation for this fast forward movement. So you've got this movement, this energy of movement that has nowhere to go. So it's got kind of this stop short sort of essence to it. And I wondered what was going on. I know that this World in reverse, that feeling of unfinished business was part of what was contributing to this overthinking, but now I see it's actually difficult to navigate. So this Knight of Bows is making people, both of you, want to move quickly toward one another, but realizing that you don't have the proper situation established to be able to move toward one another, I guess, it's enough to stop you. So this desire to move forward is very strong, but the impetus to move forward is not as strong. And there's a fear about moving forward because of how things have gone in the past. This is what ends up throwing you into the overthinking. So we're going to take a little bit closer of a look here then at this overthinking to understand a little bit more about it, because we see that you recover from it relatively quickly here, but just to understand more deeply into it, because it feels to me like that's not where you've been spending all your time lately. So you've got the Four of Stones in reverse. Stones are earth energy in this deck, and so that's like a Four of Pentacles in reverse. Oops, I dropped one. Fell face down. So yes, stones are an earth energy here. And so the Four of Stones is like the Four of Pentacles. And so in the reverse like this, it's about letting go. And so when you get to this, this is like an automatic overthinking, this experience that you go into right here. There is the experience here that you realize things aren't yet over. So you guys see each other, or your energy comes in contact, and you realize this whole experience is not yet over. Now, you're a different person now. The energy that you're bringing in here, we can see in this main card of the reading, is far more capable of handling the struggles of yesterday than you were when you handled them yesterday. But the struggles of today are still pretty considerable, because there's this feeling that things are, like I said, they're not quite over. You want to move toward one another, but there's this feeling that the road doesn't exist. The path has not been cleared, the way has not been set, and that's enough to stop things. There's also this sense, though, remember, you are a different person. You both are, from the time that you have last interacted on a significant level, because a lot has happened with you, especially those of you who are in a separation situation or a limited contact, unhealthy contact, no contact situation. Since that began, a lot of branching off and changing has happened with you guys. And you have moved in the direction of being able to let go. Okay, and so there's this feeling of being able to let go, and there's this feeling that when you are experiencing this bit with, I know this isn't over, I want to move toward them, but I feel like I can't, that automatically throws you into overthinking mode. But you've been here before, and you've overcome. You're not the same person that you were the last time you came to this place. So there is a sense of a missed opportunity somewhere in here. Be prepared for that, but it seems that you are prepared for that. When I look over here and I see this emotional independence, I see this new perspective in the mirror, I realize that you are the person who can now handle the comfort and the discomfort, comfort during an uncomfortable sort of situation. So when this control comes in, when this automatic overthinking comes to you, this is kind of like the test that we saw in one of the readings not too long ago. When this comes to you, you're actually going to handle it pretty well. And that's where we see you bouncing back from the overthinking over here, because we saw here's the thing that sticks out the most, and here is something else that's incredibly important. The thing that sticks out the most is that you're going to fall under the control of overthinking. The thing that is also important is that you're going to come right back out of that. So let's go ahead and take a look. It may not feel like right back out of that, but it's impressive to think that how you're going to respond now compared to how you would have responded just a few short months ago. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We've got the Eight of Swords in reverse, which is, that's that walking away from the overthinking sort of feeling. And so to confirm what we were seeing before, there's this sense of having done some healing, having moved into a calmer place. There's that emotional independence, that healing is implied that it's taken place. And here we see that healing. It's implied here too that some healing has taken place, because of your ability to not feel like you have to stay stuck in something. You're able to let go. You're able to not overthink. You've done the difficult sailing and now you are off in some calmer waters. So you're able to handle it then if you have a situation that feels like a missed opportunity, or like in this case, a door that is not opening. And this is a door, it's not opening, but it's like it's not opening currently. However, I would keep an eye on this energy, because I feel like the ability to walk away, that ability to let go, does a lot to influence an unopenable door to actually begin to open. It's that pressure, that constant pressure of pushing for something and wanting something, that actually helps to keep that door closed. And as you begin to relieve that pressure and sort of just let it go, the door can naturally open back up by itself. It's like a pressure vacuum. So let's take a closer look at this Hermit. This is that how did they feel about you, but you wouldn't be able to see it sort of energy. So they've gone off and they've gone into their thinking cave and they've figured out a few things. Let's take a look to see what's happening with that and if there's more that we can learn about it as we go to clarify. So clarifiers for the Hermit. The first one I see here is the Archer. Okay, so the Archer, it's important to note, puts together both the bow and the arrow. So in this deck, bows are fire energy, arrows are air energy, and the Archer is the one who puts it all together and kind of brings it together into something that is useful. Okay, it's a card of being able to reap what you sow and manifest, but it's also a very active, moving forward sort of energy. We have it here in the reverse though. And it's this feeling of kind of not being able to do a journey of some kind. So it's like your person has come out of their thinking cave with some answers. They definitely have come forth with some truths. That's what this Ace of Arrows is about, because that's like the Ace of Swords in the classic or the traditional tarot. It's like the Ace of Swords. And so that's representative of truth. It's truth that's new to them. It might not be new information, but it's new to them. They're processing it in a whole new way. They've come out of their thinking cave. There is a new perspective here. Part of this new perspective here is theirs. But there is also this feeling of not quite having put everything together just yet. So there's still very much of a sense of growth that needs to happen within your person, even though with regard to you, even though they've come out of the thinking cave, they've got new truths with regard to you. And part of that is they realize it's not over. And like you, they want to move toward you, but they feel like, the trail has gone cold. It's been too long. There's not any excuse, I guess, to run into you that they can easily make up in some cases, and so that's part of what is making it very difficult for them. Um, let's take a look here at this energy that you're moving toward. And so remember, this was a little bit of a frustrating energy because it was something that should be happy in a celebration that doesn't feel quite as happy as what you would want it to. But it was also this feeling of this King of Cups is in an uncomfortable place because he's having to show more emotion maybe than he would like to. He's a very emotionally stable individual and he likes to appear that way. But when we see it in the reverse there, we see a threat to that. It's a threat to it, or it's actively him not feeling very emotionally stable. So that's the energy that you're coming toward. But here's the thing. Sometimes disappointment and unstable energy are just what change needs in order to happen. So we've got the Five of Vessels. And so this is the Five of Cups in the traditional tarot. It's water energy, but it's in the reverse here. So the Five of Vessels is, it's a card of, it depends on the deck as to exactly how it looks and how it comes across and how it feels, but you'll get regret and sadness. In this deck, it's in the upright, it's the opposite. It's ecstasy, okay? And so this is a little bit unique because in the reverse, the way this feels is the way that it is in the upright in a lot of decks. And so there's this feeling of regret, a missed opportunity once again, which it seems like you're well equipped to handle the missed opportunity piece of things and the door that's not yet opening. It just takes so long. And so this feeling of regret just kind of catching up with you has to do with everything sort of catching up with you. You're being tested, you're coming back and you're having to sort of relive this a little bit and to think, okay, this isn't over. Let's actually come back, think that through, revive some of that emotion that maybe I've let become more restful. And that brings up all that overthinking. But again, you're not the same person that you were once upon a time. So you make short work of that. You're able to do that, but there's still that connection between your ability to just let things go and the ability of that door to start to come open. And it's not a simple thing because there is regret, there is impatience, there is that feeling of missed opportunity. Let's see what else we have here to clarify over here, because that's the side that feels... Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's clarifying a Three of Cups in reverse with a Three of Cups in reverse. All right. So you see, these are kind of, sorry, that's not funny. They're kind of the same cards. And they almost have the exact same feel to them. They're that celebration. It says down here, joy. It's a card of joy. And we saw that, but here we see, you're still going to the celebration maybe, but it's not as much fun. There's that sense of disappointment, that sense of awareness. And the thing is, it's like, one of the things that I feel compelled to tell you is that as you get a greater awareness across the overall situation, there are going to be some internal things that you become more aware of too. Not all of those will necessarily be positive. So that's maybe the next thing that you're moving into. And that is something that we will look into in this extended reading. So we're going to move into the extended now. When I put down the classic tarot, I was giving you kind of that high level, that first level of information. Then we get in a little bit deeper when we go into clarify. But now we're going to go several layers deeper and just kind of understand what is this energy that you're moving into, because it's not so much that it's confusing. I would like to open it up for you a little bit more. What is it with this new awareness that seems to bring with it a burden, or that's almost what it feels like. It almost feels like it brings like a cloud with it, and it may be something that you just have to learn how to work with, or you too have to learn how to work with, because this is the energy that will be underlying both of your actions together, your energy coming together. There's still this edge of regret and this feeling that I think this is them feeling a little out of control. Could be you as well, but emotionally a little out of control and just a little worn out after all this, realization, having things reopened with the World card in reverse, that feeling that things aren't over, so you get thrust into this cycle of overthinking, which again, you make short work of it. But your person is there too, and so they've come back out of their cave with this new truth, but they still can't put all the pieces together. And so for them to come into this energy, it's both of you saying, okay, now what? I've learned all of these things, but now what? So when we go into the extended, we're going to take it a step farther and just kind of say, all right, the question is now what? So what's the answer to that, you know? And the other thing that I want to get into is with this hidden energy, we did understand a little bit about the dynamic between the two of you and how they're viewing that. But I want to dig a little bit more deeply into how they're actually feeling about you, because I feel like that didn't truly come out here. So we'll get into that a little bit more. It feels like a good next step as we get in a little bit deeper in the energy. And then, of course, we'll do the bridge question. We're going to see. The bridge question is one that I like to put in almost all my extendeds. And basically what it is it's how do you get from where you are right now to the energy of the place that you want to go? And what is it that's going to be along the path? What is it that you need to know as you're going along that path? So that's where I'm going to go next. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see the links to the extended. Click on those and it'll get you to my Vimeo page and you can just kind of go from there. But I hope to see you over in the extended. If this has resonated with you, please do like and subscribe so that we can stay together. I would love to continue reading with you, but honestly, if this resonated, you might want to go back to a few of those other videos in the past and kind of check to see what's going on. See if there are any messages in there that you would be able to use. But thank you. Thank you for being here with me, and I will look forward to seeing you either in the extended or in another reading.